Back. I'm going to talk to you right now about another principle that's very foundational to every single relationship that we have in our lives. And that's a concept that I like to refer to as our blueprint. Now, there's other words for this that we hear a lot, like the word paradigm. It's a paradigm is the way we view the world. And really that's about all of the definition that most of us can give for that word. And that's why it's a neat sounding word, but I think it's not descriptive of the point that it's trying to talk about here. That's why I like the word blueprint. I come from a building and construction background, and so blueprint's very descriptive to me. A blueprint is that picture that we write on paper that's got every single little detail of a house and how long this wall needs to be and how high it needs to be, and we need so many 2x4s here and so many nails down this board, and we need this little metal bracket up here and a brace over there and a window here, and how much we've got to have above that window to support it. All of those things in great detail go into a blueprint in the construction industry. And what I'm trying to convey to us today is that we all operate according to a blueprint. So our conscious mind and our subconscious mind are in the business of building our life to match the blueprint that we've designed for ourselves in the back of our head. Just like in construction, it's my job to build the house according to the details of that physical blueprint that somebody's given me. And so it's a very similar thing here. And that is that over the course of our life, every single action and activity and idea and word and picture that have come into us through our five senses are stored, if you want to call it, in a filing cabinet in the back of our brain somewhere. And whenever we come up against a situation where we have to make a decision, we have to interact with somebody or something, or we have to do something that comes from us outwardly. Whenever that happens, our brain goes back into that filing cabinet and tries to pull out all the relevant pieces of information and put them together so that we've got an idea then on how we're going to approach this situation, or what the decision is going to be that we're going to make. And I've talked about several things here before on how we act or interact in a marriage relationship, or in a parent-child relationship, or in any relationship in the world for that instance, is if we've not been trained, we're totally running on our blueprint, and that's what we've put in the back of our mind. And so we may come up to confront a situation. Let's say I have an issue that comes up between myself and Penny, and there's an issue here, and she sees it one way and I see it another way. And the reason that is because we both have different blueprints that we've built in our minds over the years. And so we're going to each view that same incident from a different angle. And it can be influenced by our environment, everything that's gone on around us in the past. It can be influenced by the examples of other people to us. It can be influenced by things we've read, things we've heard, movies we've watched, other media sort of thing that's been input into us. It can even be influenced by smells and tastes. And it's funny, how many times do you drive by some place and you smell a smell and it triggers a memory in your mind? And that's because that's your blueprint. Now, somebody else can drive by in the same seat with you, and you can both drive by and smell that same smell, and it triggers a picture in your mind, and it may totally do nothing for them. Or it can trigger a completely different picture in their mind based on their past experiences and everything that's stored in their filing cabinet back there. And so, if we're just running along and running on our gut instinct on how to be a good husband or a good wife, or how to be a good parent, or how to be a good employee, or anything else, we're running along and letting that blueprint drive us forward. So maybe somewhere in our past we were taught to have an inappropriate reaction to a certain stimulus out here. I have a friend, for instance, that in his family growing up, when a negative situation would happen out here, the reaction to that situation was always, bro, we gotta get up and deal with this really serious thing with an intense amount of emotion and activity and anger and defensiveness and that sort of thing. And so that has been imprinted on his blueprint to the point that in most situations in his life, if something antagonistic pops up out here, his immediate response is, and I'm just going to tear things apart and whatever. And you can see how in some situations, in a dangerous situation, that can be a positive thing to have there. But in a husband and wife relationship, there are antagonistic things that happen because we see the same thing from different angles. And if my reaction every time something antagonistic pops up here, and my reaction is, and I'm going to tear your head off, and that sort of thing, then how can we possibly have a positive interaction on something like that? But that's totally imprinted on his blueprint. Now, just to give the flip side of that, a lot of people have so built into their blueprint that whenever something antagonistic happens, their blueprinted response is like, oh, I'm just going to back off and let that go on and run its course and do whatever it's got to do. And both of those things can have an equally damaging result if they're carried to an extreme. And so, but that's the sort of things that happen to us when we let our relationships in our lives run totally driven by this blueprint that we don't even realize exists. And it's critical for us, A, to learn that there's a blueprint that's driving us, and to B, start analyzing what that blueprint really looks like. What's that canvas? What's the picture painted in the back of my mind that every time I come up against any situation, my subconscious mind, even if it's not my conscious mind, my subconscious mind is looking back there and saying, oh, this is the picture that he says his life's supposed to look like, so I've got to take this situation and make it match this picture back here. And that's one thing that our subconscious is really good at, is doing that. And so if we've allowed that picture on the canvas in the back of our mind to be painted as something that we really don't want, then our subconscious mind is going to be going to great extremes to make it look that way, even if we're out here on a conscious level trying to make it look different in a way that we really want. And our subconscious mind can literally go in there and sabotage our conscious efforts by just tweaking little things here and there that make sure that we fail in our efforts to do something different than what the picture is back here. And that can be totally damaging in a relationship, and especially if those little sabotaging things are happening when we're saying, I really love this woman, I really love my husband, and I want to make this relationship work. This is important to me, and so I'm going to work really hard at doing these things. But if somewhere back in here in our subconscious mind we've got blueprinted that my wife's always my old lady, or women are always witches, or whatever it is, never can understand women, or whatever thing we've got blueprinted back there, we may be trying really hard out here on the front, on the surface, but our subconscious mind is out there just undercutting that little piece at a time until we're destined to fail because we've got a screwed up blueprint back there. So I want us to understand that concept of blueprints. It's critical. You need to delve into more of the stuff that we're teaching here. Obviously on a 10-minute video I can't go into great depth, but we've got CDs and books that we recommend and all sorts of things that teach you about these concepts. So I really feel like it's important that you take your time and go to our blogs and our websites and try to understand more what we're teaching, because we've got some great principles to offer you that can make a giant difference in every important relationship in your life. Marriage, children, work relationships, every relationship that you have out there. We can give you the tools to start understanding how they work, therefore begin to start fixing things. So Talk to you later. See you. Bye.